Craig sits up in his bed to bright light emitting from the window. He checks the time and quickly puts on his clothes and hat and walks out of his room. After breakfast, he makes his way out the door and through the snow on his way to school. He knew his friends would be waiting at the bus stop already. He felt a little bad, but only because Tweak was a bit too much of a spaz. Tweak really does care, right? I mean, it looks like it. But it could just be that we're just friends. Either way, I'll find out today. At a normal place, B sets out to go to school. Gah! Tweak sits up abruptly in his bed, shaking and breathing irregularly fast. He looked around his room and sighs as he thinks about his dream and tries to remember it. His breathing goes back to normal. And he starts twitching as he gets up to pull on his shirt. When he walks down the stairs, he sees his father sitting at the table as always. "Morning, son. How was your sleep?" "God," Tweak exclaims as he twitches. "Good to know," his father says. His mother soon walks into the room. "Tweak, dear, you're up late today. You better get going or you're going to miss the bus," she tells them. Oh my god, the grammar. Going. His eyes widen. Ah, Jesus, too much pressure. "I can't miss the bus. I'll be late for school, and I won't get to see Craig." Tweak rambled on in his head as he quickly drank his coffee. As soon as he finished, he rushed out of the house to reach the bus on time. When he reaches the stop, he sees Clyde, Token, and Jimmy there. He looks around for Craig, but he doesn't see him anywhere. He gets slightly upset that he wasn't there. Lost in thoughts of why Craig wasn't there, he didn't realize that Clyde was standing in front of him. Tweak," Clyde says. Tweak snaps back into reality. What?" he says a little louder than usual. Token looks over Clyde's shoulder at Tweak, while Jimmy goes to the left of Clyde. "What's up with you? It hasn't even been 5 minutes, and you already look depressed and a bit flustered." "What is it?" Clyde said. "Yeah, you usually are this shaky and depressed this soon. It's usually after at least 10 minutes, Jimmy adds. Tweak looks out at twitches. "Jesus, I'm thinking of him too much. Why is he? I can't. It's nothing. I've been thinking about someone," he says. Craig walks up to the group of students at the bus stop to see Tweak shaking a bit much, and the other 3 standing over there talking to him. Occasionally, Tweak let out a "God." My throat fucking hurts. While the other 3 were talking. Craig smiles grimly inside. Dog. But wouldn't let it escape the outside. Then he walked up behind Tweak. "Hey guys," he said out of nowhere. Tweak nearly jumped out of his skin. He yelled while turning around. "Craig," Tweak yelled, half relieved and half angry at him. He managed to hide his relieved side. "Yes," Craig said, happy to be standing in front of Tweak. Tweak twitches. "I could have died." "Don't do that," he yells, trying not to show how embarrassed he was. Clyde comes from behind Tweak. "Hey dude, where have you been?" "Home. Where else?" Craig replies. He moves over to the stop sign and leans against it. Tweak only watches him and doesn't move his feet. Token stays where he stood as Clyde and Jimmy move over to where Craig was. The bus stop arrives and everyone gets on. Skip the day. Tweak gets off the bus shaking even more than before. He didn't know what it was, but he had some feeling that something was going to happen. Granted, he felt this way all the time, but this was stronger and a bit more intense than what he usually felt. My throat. He started going home just like almost everyone else. Everyone but Craig decided and completely confirmed that he would finally come out to Tweek, maybe even go a little further. He walked quickly behind Tweek and touched his shoulder. Tweek, he started. Tweek freaked out. Jesus! He jumped 3 inches up and a foot away from Craig. He hid his head behind his arms. Tweek, it's just me, Craig said, taking a small step forward to bring Tweek's arms away from his face. Slowly but surely, Tweek's face is uncovered, and Craig looks at him in the eyes. Oh, sorry, Craig. I didn't know it was you, and well, it could have been some child abductor, or thief, or murderer, or... Tweek went on and on about the horrible things that could have happened to him. Craig finally interrupted. Tweek, I have something to tell you. Tweek automatically stops, twitches, and looks at Craig. What is it? He quickly and shyly asks Craig, and Craig inspects Tweek's face. He sees a blush starting to spread over the twitchy body. Craig smirks on the inside, knowing that if he does anything, Tweek will go along with it, just by seeing the look on his face. Craig gets a little closer to Tweek. Tweek starts madly blushing, twitching, and shaking. Craig decides to mess with the blonde-headed boy. Truth or dare, he asks. Tweek looks shocked. Gah! He thinks for a moment. Truth. He seems to question. Craig's grin on the inside, almost letting it out. He starts taking small steps closer to Tweek. Every step Craig gets, Tweek backs off the same amount. Unexpectedly, he falls back into a hill. Craig finally lets a grin out. Who? Craig kneels down. No. He gets closer down to Tweek with these words. You got like. Tweek's eyes widen and then close. Who I like? But why? Wait, does God have too much pressure? This could end up bad on my part if I say anything wrong. Tweek thought of everything that could happen depending on what he said. No, nobody, he said, opening his eyes, shaking. What? Oh, my throat. Craig chuckles a little. Doesn't look like that, he teased. Now, answer or something bad will happen. Jesus, Tweek yells and shuts his eyes again. What am I supposed to say? What if I don't answer correctly? And something bad does happen. And what if he does something bad? What if I tell him truth and he does it anyway? The blonde boy freaks out in his head. Craig looks down at him with a waiting face. I'm gonna stop. My throat really hurts.